Hey everyone, welcome to Launch Control's Off-Market Investor Challenge. We're joined today, our first session is going to be about education and mentorship, and our special guest today is Mike Hambright. Mike, how you doing?
Good, excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. You are a pioneer in the industry. You've been leading the education space and the media space for longer than I've been involved in real estate investment, and I've been involved in real estate investment for a while. So I'm really excited to have you on to talk about investor fuel, but just in general, mastermind or education, masterminds, how to kind of build up your network and really leverage what's out there for everybody.
Yep.
And then we're also joined from our text marketing expert team by Katerina and Mia. How are you two doing?
Doing good, thank you.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks for having us here.
Absolutely. So they're going to be able to talk to us a little bit about what it's like working with the Launch Control team to really up your text marketing engagement game and make sure that you're getting the highest ROI possible out of your marketing channels. All right. So for everyone that's here, this in this event, please populate questions into the chat early and often. If we don't get to them in real time, we'll get to them at the Q&A section at the end. And just as a quick reminder for everybody, this is a multi-event workshop series. So today we've got Mike on. We're going to be talking about mentorship and education. You're only as good as your network, a journey through business and life. At this same time on Thursday, we're going to be talking about building scalable REI systems. And we're going to have the guys from DataFlick and REI Sift on. On Tuesday the 19th, we're talking about how to take all of your marketing channels and bring them together for ultimate results. So you're getting the highest possible ROI at any data set that you bring in. We're going to talk about on the 16th, we're going to be talking, or excuse me, on the 18th, we're going to be talking about outsourcing options. Then the following week, we're going to get into expanding into new markets. And finally, everybody that was able to join us as a co-host is going to loop back at the end of the month and be there to answer any of the big questions that all of you had. All right. So to kick this one off about mentorship, we want to first of all let you guys know that at Launch Control, before I hand the keys off to Mike, at Launch Control we have a great education system in place for all of you to be able to leverage. You can consider it the Launch Library. And in the Launch Library, you've got a few different options. You've got our Facebook group, which is just called Investors Hub. If you scan that QR code, that'll get you to the Facebook page. It's absolutely free. You do not need to be a Launch Control subscriber. It's just a way to get quick access to our educational resources. And for any of you that are on your phones, not able to scan that QR code, just check the show notes below. We'll have links to everything today, everything that Mike talks about, as well as all of the links to Launch Control are going to be there as well. And then I also wanted to highlight our YouTube channel for you guys, because it is something that is an underutilized resource for Launch Control users or just the real estate industry in general. So again, you don't need to be a subscriber to access this. It's just youtube.com/Launch Control Text. On this, you'll see available playlists that we have that include Leveling Up with Launch, where we do deep dive sessions with coaches on how to maximize data, how to implement the best possible system in Launch Control, and how to extract the most possible deals you can out of text marketing. We've got Launch Education that's focused on distressed property investment. We've got Launch Education series that are focused on land investment. We've got our podcast, Deal Nation. There is a wealth of information available here on our YouTube channel for all of you to access. Again, links below in the notes. And then I wanted to make sure as well that everyone is aware of how much of an integral role our text marketing experts play in your success working with Launch Control. and your overall education on the marketing side, which is why I brought on Kat and Mia to talk about this, because they are our text marketing experts. They run that team. And so I wanted to give them an opportunity to talk to you about what it means to work with Launch Control and how we focus on improving your business once you become a Launch Control subscriber. So you two want to take that away?
Totally. Mia, let me open up and then you can take it away with a little bit of a deeper dive. So
All good.
basically, Mia runs our success team. That is the team of dedicated text marketing experts for each and every new coming client on the platform. So once you walk in, and I think this is something that not many products are going to have across the board, not just the texting platforms. So whatever I purchase, I sign up. I got a couple of guidelines pop-ups in-app, and that's about it. I'm going to find an FAQ. If I can reach out to a support person and chat, great. But what we do at launch is not just support people and how did they best utilize the product in terms of utilizing each and every button and a functionality we got. We actually have a team of dedicated experts that have a vast, and it's usually like launches, how many, Michael? Around about 5 years old, maybe a little bit more. So we do have people with several years of experience working with some of our top-notch investors. And when I say that, I'm talking people that operate in multiple markets. I'm talking people that have been operating in real estate, not just with text, but utilizing the omni-channel approach across the board for like decades. All of them have found at least that little chunk of a benefit with our team by identifying what is it that my peers are doing, what is it that the most successful people in my market are doing, and what is it that I can do with my lists with this product in particular that I haven't been able to do through cold calls. How do I approach this from a compliance perspective? Compliance is usually going to be one of the biggest concerns. The people are going to be like, am I going to get logged for spam? Am I going to get just banned from texting? No, that doesn't happen as long as you sign up. You sign up for a one-on-one with your dedicated expert that actually stays with you throughout that flow. So they stay with you, teaching you how to send your first batch. They stay with you, talking about the quality of your lists, talking to you about compliance, talking to you about the best proven strategies on the inbox page. How do you squeeze out the most out of your data if you're let's say, on a shortage with data currently? Which other sources of data they can recommend, and also what are the best strategies that work for the type of property that you're doing, for the type of deals that you're doing. So it's really about the conversation rate. So we're not just purely looking at the delivery rate, which means like how many messages they reach their destination, or the response rate. People are always big on the response percentage. That's just how many replies you got back from that first initial outreach or an outreach from a non-responder. What we take into account are the conversation rates. Actually, how many motivated leads landed in a conversation with you, and the inbox is where you live, not to mention utilizing the follow-up functionality to its optimal potential. But then talking about the conversation rate, we have seen like 163% larger of a conversation rate on launch leads. I happen to be director of service and launch leads as well, which is our managed services program. And there we have seen, let's say, results that are at this moment, just according to the latest math, 163% more productive when it comes to active conversations that convert. That likelihood against the platform average, because not everybody is always going to be able to dedicate that time. But I promise you, like if you're a launch user, if you sit down with just 15 minutes, even on a weekly basis with your TME, what you're going to get are the real latest trends. What you're going to get are the best strategies that convert. What you're going to get is really lead conversion tactics that only can come from the experience, from the vast data analysis that we do with our user base, and from the actual testimonies that we get from that user base. I actually put one of my favorite testimonials lately on this slide. So it does talk a little bit about the system, but it also talks about the customer service, as they call it. So I would really like to accentuate the expertise, and Mia here can probably tell you a little bit more on how she actually works with the team on a daily basis to always keep their game up, so they're able to provide the best possible guidance to our beloved clients.
That's right. That's right. And to add something short there, I think that Katarina has given you a really good overview of what our team does and what our core values are. And we really do focus on that one-on-one relationship with users, and we focus on gathering user feedback daily. That is the most important thing that we can have as your TMEs, is your honest feedback, not just about the platform usage, not just about, how things are going. We want to know, how are things going in your business? Is your team changing? Are things happening in your personal life? We want to know those things, right? Because that's part of that relationship building that we focus on, so that we can give you personalized strategies so that launch control can work for you. It's not it's not something you pack in a box and tell, here are the steps that you can use. We focus on getting to know you, getting to know your business. What are the pain points? What are your business goals? And then that's how we work with your team. And we always want to make sure that that our TMEs are trained and that they have the most up-to-date market knowledge as well. So that's kind of how we work with the TMEs, that they're not only trained on the platform and to say, as Catherine said, customer service or customer success. We are really those experts and trained in market trends and how the market's doing. And we give you those tips and tricks on whether to pick, what market to pick as well if you're not sure. So we really focus on those, training aspects of being your text marketing experts and your business coaches at the same time. So very much quality and one-on-one relationships with the users.
Thank you, Mia. I appreciate that. And I just want to reiterate to everyone that this is an absolutely free resource that's available whether you are on our light subscription or you are on our enterprise plan. It's our goal to really work with each of our individual clients and make sure that you maximize results for your real estate investing business. It's not tiered, it's not gated. It's something that we do for everyone that comes in and works with us at launch.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you to run with the rest of the presentation. Whenever you're ready to screen share, go ahead and I will pop that up. There we go.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Perfect.
Oh, sorry. Can you share that one more time? Oh, there it is. I got it.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay, so you're let me see here. Sorry, getting used to this a little bit different in terms of sharing.
No worries. So yeah, it's on the screen. If you want to just go to the slideshow view, it'll give us a bigger picture and should be good. There you go.
So you can see me here. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you guys for the opportunity to share with you today. So I want to share a little bit about kind of my backstory, but my hope is that in the process is that it'll resonate. My story will resonate with some of you, and just really the power of building an amazing network to help you get to the next level, whether you're just getting started or whether you're doing hundreds of deals a year, literally, and trying to get to the next level, even from there. So excited to kind of share my story a little bit with you. So let me see if I can. Yeah. So you see the slide change here. I'm actually not in StreamYard anymore. I'm just inside of Google Docs. So
yeah.
Okay.
We got it.
So I want to talk about, at the end of the day, no matter where you're at, there are kind of seasons in your life, and there are seasons in your business, right? And sometimes people are in winter right now. Sometimes your business is thriving and you're doing really well. Maybe you're in the springtime. And the truth is that will change over time. You're not going to get to some destination that it's just all going to be the land of milk and honey forever. There are levels to this game, and there are seasons in the business. There's seasons in your life. There are things that you're going to go through in life. And I think the important thing is that you know that there's always potential to get to the next level, the next season. And it depends on largely what your goals are. And so no matter where you are right now, there is always hope, and there's always hope to get to the next level. You just have to generally fight through. I kind of sometimes use an analogy. I didn't put it in my slides here, of a video game. For those of you that grew up playing video games, like you get to a point to where you beat a level and you want to get to the next level, and you usually lose a bunch of times, but eventually you figure it out, and then you learn how to break through to the next level, and you'll look back and you can't believe how hard that was at some period. but now it's easy for you, right? Things just get easier as you move forward, even though sometimes it feels like it's hard and it feels like you can't get through. You always can if you just essentially don't give up. So it allows you to kind of learn how to do better. It allows you to learn how to adapt for what this next season of your life is. As a real estate investor, sometimes it allows you to pull out other tools out of your toolbox, if you will, to say, hey, based on where the market is now, this is how we're going to play this. And that, what I just mentioned there, is particularly true when you get around a lot of people that have been around for a long time. If they've experienced it before, you don't necessarily have to climb that learning curve yourself. You can learn from other people, and that really is the value of your network and some of what we're going to talk about today. So for me, and for a lot of other people, I've actually done a couple thousand podcasts that I've hosted over the last 13 years. And this is a pretty common one that comes up, is that they'll usually be talking about, this was happening in my life, and then I read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think a lot of people can probably resonate with that, whether you read this before you started as a real estate investor or whether you read it after you were in this. It kind of changed the game for a lot of people. And I'm no different. It gave me hope that, like, hey, there's a way to go generate cash flow without necessarily having to be an employee. And I'll share my story a little bit. And so for me, this is something that kind of impacted me very early on. And it was pretty cool that just a few years back, I actually was able to hire Robert to come speak to my mastermind community. And I know a lot of our members, we had a couple hundred people there, were excited to see somebody that had impacted their life. And so what I'm going to talk about today is not just kind of seasons in your life or your business, but also this cash flow quadrant. So if you're familiar with Robert Kiyosaki, you're probably familiar with this cash flow quadrant. And I think a lot about this because this is kind of stages of your business, where you're at in your business. And over time, some of you may have this now, where you're like me and you have multiple businesses. I have different businesses that are at different stages of this kind of life cycle. And kind of high level, we'll just talk about the upper left is where a lot of people start out as they're an employee for somebody else. Then they move down to the lower left, which is the self-employed box. And so they have a job, but they're still very much in the thick of everything. If something happens to them, the business probably goes away. Then you move to the upper right, which is the business owner box. And so you have a business that has people, processes, and systems. And so you're able to focus on other things or focus on kind of, as they say, working on the business instead of working in it, because you have a team. And there's different variations even inside of each of these boxes, right? And then ultimately, the real hope is to become an investor where your money just makes money for you. You don't have to work in that business at all. And so an analogy for that would be, if you're even investing in the stock market, you're generally passive. You're not in there making decisions for companies and things like that. For me, I own a bunch of multifamily. That's in the I box largely for me. I don't really have an active role in the day-to-day necessarily. And so, but I have other businesses that I'm maybe self-employed, or I certainly feel like I'm self-employed sometimes. And so you might have multiple businesses that are in different stages, but this is going to be kind of the foundation of what we're going to talk about today, is different stages of your business and how to get to that next level. Now, I will tell you that when I first started in real estate, and for many years, even after I had flipped about 100 houses, I started coaching other people. And a lot of people would say, if I said, well, what are your goals? They would say, I want to be like you. And that brushed my ego a little bit. Not everybody said that, but sometimes it would come up. It's like, I want to do what you've done. And it made me feel good until I realized on some levels, like, well, I don't really like where I'm at right now. I don't want to be me. And so why would you want to be me? But it took a business maturity. It took some time for business maturity. It took time for personal maturity, honestly, to become a father. And when I first started real estate investing, my son had just turned 1, like literally that month, and he just turned 18. And so we've been doing this for a while now. But it just takes you a while. It took me a while to mature, to realize that everybody's goal isn't always more. For me, for a long time it was, and that's not necessarily the case anymore. And your goals might be totally different than what I'm saying here. But as a kind of coach and advisor, as a mentor, I think a lot more about the question, what is it that you actually want? And the goal isn't just like, well, I'm going to show everybody how to do 100 houses a year, because not everybody wants that, right? And so we have some folks that are in my mastermind that do 800 deals a year. And honestly, not many want that pressure. They don't want to operate in multiple markets, have 100 employees, have a bunch of private investors that are looking at every decision they make. Like, not everybody wants that, and most people don't want that. And so I've kind of matured to the level to where I know that your goals are your goals. And so I would advocate that your goals should always be a stretch. If you want to feel fulfilled, you don't want your goals to be too easy, right? But anyway, the cash flow quadrant and kind of the meaning behind it, we're going to talk about that a fair bit today. And it actually fits really well with seasons. Like, there's different seasons that your business goes through. There's things that you can't control in your business, which are a lot of times the macro economy, what's going on with interest rates, who the president is. You can't control those things, right? And so they have an impact on your business. But so do other things that happen in your life. Could be health issues, family issues, things like that as well. And then ultimately you have to overlay your goals on what it is you're trying to accomplish in the first place. So business is a vehicle for allowing you to live the life that you want. Like, I think sometimes people fall in love with the business itself, at least early on. But the reality is most people that have a business use that business as a vehicle to allow them to live the life that they want for their family. And it's not about the business itself. So you got to remember that ultimately that the business is a vehicle to get you to where you want to go. And even money is just a tool to allow you to unlock the doors that you want in your life. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am. If you don't know who I am, most of you probably do not. So I am a husband, a father, I'm a real estate investor, and that's evolved a lot over time as to what that means. Started off by wholesaling and fix and flipping houses in the Dallas market where I'm at, which I've done hundreds of, but I moved into multifamily, and I do a lot of other kind of creative things in the real estate space now. I run a mastermind called Investor Fuel, and I really am kind of an advisor to our members. We have hundreds of members in that group. I'm a coach and a mentor for new and newer real estate investors. I'm a business owner, own lots of different businesses and invest in some businesses, a world traveler, and the last one at the end there, newly found rancher. It's a little bit fun. I'll talk about that. But husband to my wife, Lindsay, who's the glue that keeps everything together. She's worked with me all along, and more behind the scenes than anything. But we've been married coming up here shortly. In about a month, it'll be 21 years. So, but she is a powerful woman behind the scenes. She's always referred to herself as a woman behind the scenes. There's a couple times where she referred to herself as the puppet master. And I was like, well, whoa, what does that mean for me? So anyway, she's super smart, was previously an investment banker on Wall Street, like just very talented, that helps keep me on track, honestly. So this is our son, Jake, who just graduated from high school. And as I said, started when he was just 1 year old. Literally, he was just a little baby. Couldn't even walk yet when we started our real estate investing business. Flipped hundreds of houses in the Dallas-Fort Worth market and advised people. Like, my mastermind community right now it's kind of hard to measure this, but probably doing, certainly between 10 and 15,000 houses a year just in our community. And not that I'm taking credit for that, but a lot of them would give credit to Investor Fuel. I've done a tremendous amount of coaching over the years, coached literally hundreds of people directly and thousands of people indirectly. Again, run a real estate mastermind called Investor Fuel that we're about to hit our 8-year anniversary. This is for high-level real estate entrepreneurs. So our average member is probably doing about 75 deals a year. We have some that are doing 10, 15, and we have some that are doing up to 800 that I know of. And we also have service providers, like Launch, and lenders and property managers and that inside of our community now as well. The world traveler piece, we love to travel. We actually do this inside of our mastermind. Last year, we had about 40 people from our mastermind go to Oktoberfest in Germany and had a lot of fun there. Went to Italy right afterwards for just my wife and I. This was around the same time frame. This was like late September last year. And then we went to celebrate our 20th anniversary in Italy. But our Investor Fuel community, we've got a trip coming up in about a month to Cabo. We've been many times. We've been to Yellowstone, snowmobiling and dog sledding, which we're doing that again here in a few months or this winter. And just really doing a lot of amazing things and having a lot of experiences. I think one of the things that you realize, if you're new or newer in real estate, like, you kind of want money, you want that financial freedom. And then I think what'll happen is you eventually realize you want time freedom and you want to do cool things. And that, it really is, from my perspective, what life is all about. Is it's okay to have cool things, but the experiences matter way more than the things. Anything that I've bought that's an expensive toy, I've kind of regretted buying it eventually. So I think it's about experiences and memories that you can create with your family and friends. And the rancher part, this is just a little fun thing to show. This is a picture of our ranch in East Texas, about 104 acres, mostly timber and some ponds. This is a picture. This pond right here is a 5-acre pond. And since this picture was taken, we built kind of a luxury farmhouse that's kind of right on this pad here that you see. So, oh, actually, here's the house. So this is another view. That the other picture, the house wasn't there yet, but now it's there. And the pond is kind of right behind the fire pit here. And so we get to have some events out there with my mastermind members typically, and just kind of, share what's working now and talk about the good times and how to navigate the challenging times and things like that. So we've created, this is in many ways a thing. It's a big thing. I've gone from, paying somebody to mow my lawn to being the guy that has to mow 104 acres now and maintain a whole bunch of chores out there. But there's something about it that's just kind of fun and cool. But that's not how it started. Like, there's been a lot that I've been through, and I want to kind of share the backstory a little bit because I think some people will resonate with this. I started as a student, and this is not a picture of me or my class, but it's a picture online. And I think of the traditional education as is kind of like a factory, even though I thought that was something that was important and required. So technically, I'm the first person in my family to go to college, and that's been a long time ago now. But I grew up in Northern Illinois, a couple hours west of Chicago, and got a degree in finance at Illinois State University. If there's any Redbirds out there, probably not, but I'll say it anyway. And moved to Chicago, and then I worked in banking for several years in Chicago. Worked for a massive bank, but I was a very small cog inside of that wheel, and just felt kind of unfulfilled and got tired of the weather eventually. So then I moved to Texas a long time ago now. And same thing, I worked in corporate finance for a large retail company that you would know if I said the name, and worked there for a few years and just felt very unfulfilled. And so I didn't really know what to do at that point. Again, certainly nobody in my family was an entrepreneur, and nobody in my family had been, most of my family was very blue collar, and definitely allowed me to learn a lot of hard work and being willing to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty for sure. But nobody could really kind of help me with getting to the next level. So I did what others might do and thought I needed more formal education. So went back to grad school at the University of Texas in Austin and got my MBA, which is a pretty highly ranked MBA program. But most importantly, there met my wife in the program. She was in the same program as me, and we met there and eventually got married. But got out of graduate school, got a job, what I would call kind of my dream job. And it was amazing. I worked there for about 3 years, but truthfully, I thought I'd spend my whole career there. Like, that's just the mentality that I had. I was kind of the golden boy inside of this company, 35,000 employees. And I worked directly for the CEO of the company. And, he was kind of preparing me for a very high level job, but he got fired. And then I was his outspoken right-hand man. So I was part of the package. So I got to go too. And I had no control over that. And so it was just this realization. It was my first realization, which I'll share the next one in a second, that no matter how hard I work, I don't really have control over where this is going. And quite frankly, that was a $5 billion company at the time that I was there that doesn't even exist anymore. It's gone. 35,000 people lost their job. It's disappeared from the map. And it had been around for 80 or 100 years, right? And so it's just the reality of the thing that I worked so hard to get to was taken away from me, and I had no control over it. So then I went to work for a high-flying company that had just gone public, moved across the country, actually from Dallas to Washington, D.C., right outside of, it was in D.C. We lived in Arlington, Virginia, just outside of D.C., and was kind of flying high. I was making more money than I'd ever made before, and excited about that. But after about 18 months, two things happened. The company was on the verge of filing for bankruptcy. So I voluntarily decided to leave because I knew that this wasn't going to work out. And at that point, my wife had left her job, which she truthfully didn't enjoy, to move to DC. And a few months after we were there, we got pregnant with my son. So basically, about 2 months before I left this company, my son was born. And so for those of you that have been a parent, I always kind of give a joke. My son is 18 now. We had no idea how to be parents back then, and we still don't know how to be parents. We're still trying to figure it out. We only have one child, and he's 18. But my wife had left her job and then decided not to go back to work because she got pregnant with my son. And then I essentially lost my job. And as I like to say, shit got real really fast. Like, we just had not been in this situation before. We both had been, 6-figure executives in corporate America. And now we had no income and temporary insurance, new baby, living in Washington, D.C. with no family, no friends there. And we were just, at this kind of crossroads, if you will. And so if you've been paying attention at all, I had a fat zero in corporate America. It beat me twice, right? And so it was this realization of, I need to go figure this out. And so maybe some of you have been there. Maybe you've been in a job that you have lost and you felt like you could do no wrong, and then it was taken away from you. Or maybe some of you in corporate America feel like that now, like your job is very fragile and you feel like you need more control of your life. And real estate has been that vehicle for me. So I had this realization at the time. At this point right now, I've been an entrepreneur for since 2008. So whatever that is, 17 years, right? And been through lots of ups and downs, been through lots of challenges. I would say generally, I am a problem solver right now. Like, you could pop something up in front of me that I've never had to deal with before, and my first thoughts are like, hey, how are we going to get around this? How are we going to solve this problem, right? But at the time, I was not very good at solving problems because I came out of corporate America, and I just, honestly, there are lots of resources there. So if I had a problem, I usually pawned it off on somebody else, or would call HR or whatever that is. And when you're an entrepreneur, you have to make all those decisions. You're the CEO and chief bottle washer, right? And so I do remember that I kind of had an entrepreneurial mind, but had really never been faced with adversity like that before. And so I remember that I had started a business, and maybe some of you can resonate with this. You're like, well, I set up an LLC and I have a brand and I have a business card. It's like, that doesn't mean squat in the grand scheme of things. And so here I am making these decisions to kind of move towards starting a business, but there was no income. And I just remember that we were just living on savings at that point. And I just remember this time when my wife, literally, she asked this question and was kind of like calling me out, like, are you going to be able to support us as a family? And it was just this wake up call, like a switch flipped. And that's when everything changed for me, because at that point I was months into it with nothing to really show for it, just screwing around, doing busy work, but generating no income. And it was just this realization that, as I say, shit got real and I had to step up in a big way. And it was this realization that I've always worked really, really hard for other people. And when you become an entrepreneur for the first time, I think one of the challenges are, how do you spend your time? Like, how do you effectively spend your time when nobody's watching you and when you're not kind of punching a time clock, if you will, and you don't have to be to work at any specific time and you don't get off at any specific time. You just have to do whatever it takes. And that was kind of my winter, back to the analogy of seasons. But there's always spring that happens after winter, right? So I want to share some lessons kind of learned along the way. At this point, I have flipped hundreds of houses in Dallas. I have a single family rental portfolio, which we've just recently decided to start owner financing all of our rentals off. We have quite a few. And so just where we are at a stage in our life, that is the model. We want to become more of the bank going forward and generate more passive income. Quite frankly, we have generated a lot of net worth on paper with our rentals, but they've never really cash flowed all that well. And so we're like, well, how do we make them cash flow better than ever? It's like, well, we get rid of property management and maintenance and turnovers and all that stuff. And that's kind of where we are with that. I have a multifamily portfolio. I'm a general partner in about 8 very large deals. And some of them are not going very well right now, just where we are in the market. Some of them are fine, and have several other businesses that I've kind of created. But it all started with just flipping houses, quite frankly. And so I was very much moving from that employee box into self-employed. And I want to share some lessons that I learned kind of at each stage here. In my first year as a real estate investor, our first year, which is 2008, I only did about 4 deals, and it took us months. We even got an office. We hired an admin. We started spending money on marketing every month, and it still took us 4 months to do a deal. And I think there's, one of the lessons there is that everybody expects this immediate gratification, like they want to decide something and get results tomorrow, and that's just not how it works. If any of you guys happen to know Hal Elrod, who's the author, I just happen to have this up. I don't know if you guys can see my camera or not, but he's the author of Miracle Morning, which has helped millions of entrepreneurs. I just actually interviewed him on my podcast. The reason I have that up is I just interviewed him on my podcast right before this. And he talked about how he set this goal to sell 1 million books in his first year. And then he kind of went into the story about how he traveled all over, spoke at 50 events, was on 150 podcasts, and he got to the end of the year and he's like, I didn't hit my goal. And I actually didn't know the story. And he said, I missed my goal by 987,000 copies. He planned to sell 1 million copies. He sold 13,000 in his first year. But then he talked about over the next 5 or 6 years, how he got to 1 million copies. And a lot of times, people look at entrepreneurs now and they say, well, success is easy for you. And the reality is it was, I like to say overnight success, 10 years in the making, right? So my point is play the long game, be willing to keep at it for as long as it takes to hit your goals, because it will come if you don't give up. There is no immediate gratification in the world of entrepreneurship. You have to keep being willing to work hard for as long as it takes, quite frankly. So the big change for me was I just discovered the power of partnerships and collaborating with other people and finding ways to not have to do everything myself. And when you're self-employed and you just move out of your job, if you had a job, you have no resources. There is no HR for me to go to. I can't go talk to the finance department. I can't do any of those things. It's me. If you look at an org chart of my whole entire company, like my name is on every seat, and maybe some of you feel that way as well. That's just going to be how it is. And so I kind of discovered partnerships, which is to partner with lots of other people. I'll come back to that in just a moment. But I do also want to kind of share the lesson here that you don't have to get fired from your dream job, or you don't have to wait around until you lose your job. You can be proactive and jump into the business, even though it's part-time. But the lessons from coaching lots of people, as I can tell you, is if you work all day for somebody else to kind of build their company and build their dreams, if you will, and not everybody should be an entrepreneur, by the way, but don't come home and give your family and your own business the worst part of your day, the worst part of your energy, right? You have to be willing to make sacrifices and work hard for your goals, even if it's kind of quote after hours, if you will. But you can partner with other people. You can surround yourself with people. You can get access to different coaching programs to learn the mistakes that will learn their mistakes so that you can hopefully climb that learning curve faster. Sacrifice is required. You can't, I'm an Amazon junkie. I get stuff at Amazon every day almost. It seems like sometimes many packages a day. My wife gives me a hard time until I open it up and I say, oh, this actually was yours. And she's like, oh, okay. But we both buy way too much stuff on Amazon. And a lot of us are just in this world now where we want to push a button and everything happens. And it's great that we have things like that, but that's just not how your success or your entrepreneurial journey has worked if you've been doing it for a while, or will work if you're just getting started, right? You need to be willing to put in sacrifice and build something over many, many years that you might not see the results for a long period of time, but eventually you will. And so the important things are you have to treat your side hustle like a real business. Even if you're at work or you have other conflicts during the day, like you can't just, well, I'm just going to answer my phone calls or respond to my leads in the evenings. Like nobody wants to work with a part-time business. If they knew you were part-time, you would never say on a voicemail, hey, I'm at my job right now, but leave a message and I'll call you back. I'll try to call you back tonight or maybe this weekend. Like they want to assume that who they're working with can solve their problem, because it's not about your problems, it's about theirs, right? So you have to treat your business, even if it's part-time, like it's absolutely full-time. You want to pretend like you're a Fortune 500 company, and you can outsource the call centers or have a part-time assistant or somebody help you, you and your business appear like it's a full-time business, even if it's not. But that's what people expect. That's who they're going to work with. So you basically have to be willing to sacrifice comfort, money, time, all those things for your own growth. And I say, like, act like your future depends on it, because it does, right? Your financial future does. So again, not everybody should be an entrepreneur. And so it's okay if you feel like it's not for you. There's nothing wrong with having a job. Now, I'm guilty in the past of kind of poo-pooing the fact that, well, I didn't need to all this like formal education to just be an entrepreneur. I can tell you in hindsight, I'm a little more mature now. All those experiences that I have helped me a lot. It doesn't mean that you can't find a use if you have a lot of fancy education or knowledge in your business as well. Your business will be better because of that. But if you don't, if you're not willing to take the risk, and if you value security, then there's nothing wrong with working for somebody else. I can tell you that entrepreneurship is not all it's cracked up to be. There's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of financial roller coasters and emotional roller coasters. And so there's no shame in either way. But if you choose that path, be willing to put in the work. So partnerships are key. I actually, I've been talking about writing a book for probably 10 years. And I just wrote my first book. Actually, it just came out a couple months ago. I don't even know if you guys knew this, Michael, but it's this one says, it's got a thing across it that says author copy, but I've got a copy right here, Investor Launchpad. It's actually a couple hundred pages too. It's not a little pamphlet. But I talk a lot, and this is really for new and newer real estate investors. If you guys are interested, it's I think you can get a Kindle version for like $9 or something on Amazon. But I talk a lot about partnering your way to success, like how to partner with other people to help find deals, to make offers, to provide funding, to help with dispositions, and kind of help with overall operations. And so I think a lot of new and newer real estate investors tend to try to figure out how to do everything. I know I did. And the truth is in hindsight and with time, I realized that I could find people to partner with. And I think a lot of times we go from, if you have a job, you go from having a job to trying to do everything and wanting to keep all the chips for yourself. And so the reality is I'm kind of more of an advocate now of like, we'll go do 5-10 deals and partner with other people, and don't be so focused on getting rich. Just focus on building that skill and learning those things. And eventually, if you want to, you can control everything. But inevitably, what people tend to do is try to do everything themselves and try to keep all the kind of profit themselves and try to get rich on their first deal. So, but the bar to get that first deal done is super high. And so why not be willing to partner with people and give up a portion of the profit to make sure that you will not get rich necessarily quickly. Real estate is actually not a get rich quick business, but you can get rich for sure. And that is by staying in the game and learning from other people around you. So I do have a coaching program. I actually think that coaching is kind of dead in its traditional form of just like, here's information and next week watch this module and do that. Our model is much more around partnering. And so if you guys have any interest, here's a link that you can learn more. It's investorfuel.com/launch-club. Launch is a link there to just let us know that you came from our friends at Launch Control, so that we take good care of you. But it really is more of a model of partnering with my mastermind members on deals, right? And partnering with them and their resources. And that's kind of how this has evolved to where it's not just information you can go find online. It truly is finding ways to partner with experts to get your business up and running. So next, I want to talk about kind of moving from the self-employed box, that is the lower left, to being a business owner. Now, the significance there is the problem with a self-employed business, which is quite frankly where most real estate investors, so I'll say that, let me back up. Most people that want to be a real estate investor never even get to the S box. They usually fail before they even do a single deal. And that's because they quit. And I like to say, you can't fail if you don't quit. If you keep at it, you will find success. But it's a difficult path. But plenty of people have made it, and you can make it too if you're committed to it. Now, most people that find themselves in the S box don't get to the B box, the business owner box. Like, they still have a job. And this is not for real estate investors. This is honestly for all entrepreneurs, all small businesses. They end up being such an important part of the business that they don't scale, they don't add employees, they don't invest in the business. They do just enough advertising or lead generation to keep themselves busy, but not build up the team to where they can afford the team because they're not doing enough business. So what happens though is if you have somebody in your family that gets sick, God forbid, or you want to go on vacation, or you need to spend time with aging family members or whatever, you get pulled out of the business and your business kind of struggles. And so I don't advocate that you move from the S box as self-employed to a business owner box so that you can buy a Lamborghini or fly on private jets or any of those things. That all gets portrayed on social media. I can tell you that most people that I know, I have plenty of friends that have fancy cars that have had amazing houses and stuff like that. They eventually get tired of having to maintain the junk, the stuff. Every time you want to use it, it's broken down or needs work or whatever. There'll be a point, everybody has their own journey, but there'll be a point where those things, if you think they're important, you might find out later that they're not important to you. But the purpose of moving from the S box to the B box is to buy back your own time, to allow you to have a team that can run things, whether it's completely or at least partially day to day, so that if you get pulled out or you want to take a day off or you go on vacation or somebody in your family gets sick or whatever, you can get pulled away and the business does not suffer. That really is the goal. And that really is, many people that are self-employed might have a business card that says CEO, but the truth is they're also still the chief bottle washer and they have to do everything. So some of the lessons learned to kind of get to that level is lead generation is everything. A lot of people just hustle enough to have a business that allows them to make more money than they did as an employee for somebody else, but it's not a business that has what I would kind of call excess profits to be able to push into the team, to hire A players and allow you to kind of build a business that will ultimately give you the freedom that you want. A lot of people just spend all their profits and they are not able to kind of invest back in the business, which is really important. And also a lot of people that move to that business owner box, if you want to get there, you have to have crystal clear goals so that your team knows how to operate that in your absence. That ultimately is what you want, is kind of laying out that vision. And if you do that and you get to that business box, then you can have a wider moat to where if you have a bad month or a bad week or even a bad year, that you're not necessarily knocked out of business because you're living essentially below your means. You have the ability to weather storms. So I'm going to talk a little bit about these kind of lessons here, lead generation. So you can hustle through lead generation to a point, right? There's a lot, especially in the real estate space, there's a lot of people that talk about hustling and working hard, but that's only going to get you so far. So when you understand how to get a positive return on your advertising, on paid advertising, that's when you will understand that, hey, for every dollar I put in, I get back 4 or 5 or whatever that number is, which we would also call a 4x ROAS, 400% return on advertising. But you should be doing, all channels. You should be doing some outbound channels like texting and calling and all those things. And inbound channels are where most people tend to scale to, because you just spend more money and you don't have to necessarily hustle harder to get to the next level. I'm going to talk a little bit more about reinvesting your profits. So that is, profits are used to build your team. Like, it's not just you make money and you go spend it now. You need to reinvest that back into your business if you want to grow it. It could be more money to build the team. It could be more money to spend on advertising to support that team. So consider that those profits in your business, those kind of excess profits, I know that sounds like a funny phrase, but those extra profits are not for you to go buy a new suit or a new outfit necessarily. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But especially in the early days, they should be investing in your team so that you can level up and get to the next level, to be able to pull yourself out of the business more, which is ultimately what you're going to want if you're not there now, is to have a team that can run the business without you. And I'm not one of these people that thinks that I want to build my companies. This is very difficult. I haven't been able to do it myself, where I pull myself out completely and my business just runs without me and I'm never there, never there. No, but for a week or two at a time, and I can respond to a couple texts a day and my team's keeping the wheels on the bus. That is a more realistic goal for most of the people that are listening to this, I think, is being able to step away for a couple days or a couple weeks at a time and your business not fall apart. And you have a big enough team and a good enough team that allows that to happen. Most of us, by the way, as entrepreneurs, don't want to do nothing. We like to solve problems, and the business is a channel for us to do that. want to talk about your network. You've heard this phrase before, your network is your net worth. And it is so true. You just can't compete with somebody. You can't compete with 100 people that are brainstorming on how to beat you, right? At the end of the day, like the quality of the people that you surround yourself with is going to allow you to elevate to the next level. And I know there's some cheesy cliches there, but it is super true. And it's quite frankly, the basis for my mastermind Investor Fuel is hundreds of people coming together to share best practices, help people climb a learning curve faster than they'd ever be able to do on their own, and also building amazing relationships that as entrepreneurs, it's hard for us to just find when we're kind of back home. When you're back home, you might have some friends in the neighborhood and some friends that you grew up with, but they don't really understand, unless they're also entrepreneurs, they don't understand what it is you're going through. And you kind of start to feel isolated, that you can't talk about that part of your life with other people, maybe even family members, because they just don't quite get it. But when you get around other entrepreneurs that have done some amazing things, it allows you to kind of see what's possible. It gives you a lot more confidence, and it takes you to a whole nother level. We talked about clarity of your goals. So your team needs clear direction, but you have to be willing to resource and kind of pay for the team to kind of get you to that level. So you have to have super clear goals in everything you do, and accountability. And a lot of entrepreneurs hide from accountability, but until you start to have a team and you start to lay out who's accountable for what, then it's going to be hard for your business to thrive. And quite frankly, as an owner, a lot of owners hide from accountability themselves. And that's one of the benefits of a mastermind, is we actually hold our members accountable to what they said they were going to accomplish 90 days ago. And then also going to talk about kind of building a wider moat. I commented on that a little bit, but there are plenty of people, and this market is showing some of them, and I'm not here to knock anybody. They just had businesses that are fragile, that can't go on for more than a couple months of bad months before they have to do something dramatic that they don't want to do. And that could be selling off assets like rentals that you just don't want to sell because they have a lot of equity and you just need to free up that cash. It could be getting knocked out of the entrepreneurial game and having to go get a job. And again, I'm not here to knock anybody, but part of it is they built a business that allowed them to live a good life. But if the revenue went down a little bit, they get knocked out of the game. They just can't support that. It could be they're living well beyond their means too, is that a bad month means they can't cover their costs. And so I would advocate building a wider moat. That could be living below your means, building a business that generates well more profits than what you need in your life, to where a bad month or a bad year means I'm making less money than I used to, but it doesn't mean how the heck am I going to pay the bills now, right? So at the end of the day, these are important tips, like live below your means essentially, and grow your revenue to where you have some room for error. So I want to talk a little bit about Investor Fuel here, that our friends at Launch Control are also part of and have been really for many, many years. We have an amazing mastermind of a couple hundred of real estate investors, and also some service providers, like I mentioned, lenders and property managers, and service providers like Launch Control, even to where our folks are doing a high level of deals. And everybody's a little bit different. So either everybody's goals are different and everybody's level of business is different, but you get to learn from each other and just kind of unlock potential opportunities, not just in collaborations, but also just what's possible. Until you get around a lot of high performers, sometimes there are all these kind of glass ceilings that you bump up against, and it's hard to break through until you see somebody else that's done it. And quite frankly, you see somebody else that's done it that doesn't have any superpowers. You're like, wow, that person could do that. Like, well, I can do it too then, right? It kind of gives you permission to move forward, really permission to yourself, because there's nothing holding you back other than your own limited beliefs. And when you get around a lot of other high performers, you start to see that. So if you're interested in learning more about our mastermind, you can book a call with us. It says apply here, but you can basically just book a call with us to learn more. And that is investorfuel.com/launch-fuel if you're interested in that. So I want to continue on from going from a business owner to an investor, right? That's the holy grail, is having a business where your money just makes money and you don't have to do anything. And so what I've kind of found is that sometimes it's not the active business that you have. If you're flipping houses or wholesaling or fix and flipping, it might not be that you build that business up to where it's passive and somebody runs it and you're not involved in the day to day, but you take the profits from that and you invest it in something else that can be passive. And so I'll give you a few examples of things that I do personally and that are some common things in the real estate space. Is you have a rental portfolio. So by the way, single family rentals are, and probably all rentals are, never truly as passive, what somebody would lead you to believe. But they, right now, like I mentioned, I happen to be selling off some of our rental properties. And I have some that I truthfully, we're basically what's happening is they become vacant. We're owner financing some of them off. And I don't say this to brag. I say this to say this is kind of where I am with the passive side. Is I've had some properties that kind of came up that I didn't even remember the names. I'm like, is that even one that we own? And so I wish that for everybody, that you get to a point where you have some some businesses that you don't really have to think about, you kind of forget about, but they're still generating cash flow, or they're still helping you build your net worth. And that's true for multifamily as well. That tends to be way more passive unless you're a GP. But if you're an LP, you can put it out there and forget about it. We're owner financing off our rentals to where they'll be even more passive than our single family rentals, because inevitably our single family rentals are not that passive. Even though I have a property management company, I tend to still have to deal with issues that kind of come up. So it may not be your active business that is giving you the passive returns. It's the kind of quote excess profits from your business that allow them to go into the passive bucket. So I'm going to go a little bit faster because I think I just realized I'm kind of running out of time here. I thought I was going to have our time filling it up.
No, you're okay. Take your time. We can go long with maybe.
So I think the important thing is to live your life and your business with no regrets. And it's not that I don't have any. I have plenty. But I'm aware of like trying to live my life without regrets. And so if you've been thinking about getting started, or you've been thinking about elevating your business to another level, I would tell you that you can't plan this out. Like you just have to start, or start getting to the next level, or start, right? You have to get started. And so there's a lot of things that, if you decide to postpone it, it's just an excuse as to why you can't get started right now. You're going to look back and wish that you had. Having done thousands of podcasts for people, I can tell you the two biggest things that I've heard, the two biggest regrets that I've heard over the years from investors is they wish they had started sooner. That's the most common one. And the second one is they wish they had kept more of the houses that they either wholesaled or fixed and flipped as rentals or owner finances. Like they wish they had kept them in a way to where they were still making money on them. Because if you wholesale a deal, there's nothing wrong with these things, wholesale or fix and flip. But as soon as you sell it, that money's gone and you'll never make another penny from that. So those are the two biggest things. And I think just no matter what it is in your life, like try to minimize the amount of regrets that you think you'll have down the road. And you'll get to a point, if you're not there now, to where you take that to heart. Every decision you make, it's like, will I regret it if I don't do this now? So today is the best time to get started if you haven't already gotten started, or to commit to taking your business to the next level from where you've been at. So this is, as the slide says here, in 10 years, you're going to be 10 years older no matter what. So will you be happy that you made those decisions today, or will you wish that you could come back to today 10 years from now and make a different decision? And so I think that's the key. A few of the things I'd love to ask for you guys on is we actually, if you're actively doing deals right now, every single month, ideally, at least one a month up to, dozens a month, we'd love to have you on our Real Estate Pros podcast as a guest. And the way to sign up for that is through the link that you can see here, investorfuel.com/launch-podcast. That's how you can, we just know we just want to talk to entrepreneurs that are doing amazing things. And so there's no obligation here. There's no cost for this. We just like to interview real estate entrepreneurs. Also, if you're a service provider, if you happen to be listening to this, we'd love to have you on investorfuel.com/launch-podcast. And another one I'm throwing in is a free virtual ticket for our Investor Fuel live event, which is happening, depending on when you're listening to this, September. It's actually next week from the time of recording this, but September 15th through 17th. If you can come in person, that'd be great. But at this point, if you can join virtually, that'd be great too. We have free virtual tickets for you guys if you use this link here, investorfuel.com/live. We've got about 30 speakers, and it's going to be, this is our, I think, 7th event of doing this. It's always an amazing event. And so free virtual ticket if you can join us there. And lastly, I'd love to connect with you. So you can see my handle down here for Instagram and Facebook is Real Mike Hambright. I've never met another Mike Hambright, but I know there's some out there. but I'm the real one. In fact, I'm the realist. I don't know any of those other guys, but I'm the realist. So anyway, just a few of those links again here. If you're interested in learning more about Investor Fuel Club, which is our coaching community where you get to partner with our mastermind members to do deals, there's a link for that here on the screen. If you're a professional investor, you're committed 100% to running a real estate business, we'd love to talk to you at Investor Fuel, our mastermind. And if you'd like to be a guest, there's a link again for that here. So I think that is that's all I've got, Michael.
Amazing. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
If you could go back to the Investor Fuel Live slide for just a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to, for everyone listening or watching this in the replay, I can't stress enough, how valuable this could potentially be for your business, and the fact that Mike is open and his team have opened it up for virtual attendance is amazing. So I would definitely make time in your calendar for that. Just get a foothold in with Mike and his groups, because it will really help you with your business. The other thing I wanted to mention was about the podcast guest requests. We have a podcast, Deal Nation, and we have the same kind of request of just wanting to get investors at different stages of their business to sign up and join us on the podcast. Something I want to make really clear, because there's some of y'all out there are a little bit shy, and you think, well, I'm just figuring out my business, or I haven't achieved a super high level of success yet, so I'm not ready. That's exactly the point. Is we want to be able to talk to people that are in different phases of their business, because if you're going through certain challenges at the beginning or mid stages of your business, other people are too. And it really helps inspire them to hear the stories of other people going through similar challenges, and then working with someone like Mike to figure out some solutions to those challenges. So don't be shy about it. Like, whether it's Mike's podcast or ours, like come get involved so we can share your stories with people that are like you out there going through the same things.
Yeah, you can do both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
If you could, Mike, if you don't mind, just to end on, there's one more slide deck, 2 slides down. That's just a recap of what's coming up. Perfect.
Right here. Yep.
Yeah. So if anybody's got any questions, get them in now. Questions for Mike or questions for Mia about working with the launch control team. Got a couple of minutes left here to get your questions in. If you're watching in the replay, pop your comments or pop your questions into the comments. We'll track those and try to answer those as best we can. And just a reminder for everybody that this is a month-long series of workshops. Today was our kicking off point, talking about education and mentorship. And we're just going to get into the different facets of building up a business that gets you to the I box that Mike was talking about, right? To get to the place where you're really, your business is producing a minimum of 2-3x what you need. You're able to manage your teams. You're able to kind of step away and just have those semi-passive to passive investments, really fueling whatever life it is that you want to build. So the aim is for this whole September series to really help reinforce what Mike's been talking about and get you the systems to get there. And then, Mike, I had a question for you, because it's, I think it's kind of a misunderstanding sometimes. You were talking about, getting to a place in your business, and I think this would be in like the B box maybe, where you do have the ability to step away for a week or two, but maybe not more than that, right? Where you still
right
involved. And clarify if I'm wrong here. But, I think that I want to make sure people understand that it doesn't mean that you're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and then you step away for 2 weeks and breathe and kind of, get back to a sense of self, and then you jump right back into 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Most likely you're not putting in that kind of time commitment. It's just more that you might need to have a morning huddle. You might need to answer some questions mid-afternoon. You might need to have a little bit more of a daily focus, but you haven't given yourself another job.
That's the goal. I mean, I think it depends on it. It all comes back like this is like building a sandcastle on the beach, right? Is like your vision can be whatever you want it to be. I think the important thing is to have a very clear goal of what it is you want to build. And so sometimes people, quite frankly, most build a job for themselves to where their business is beholden to them and their them being involved every single day. And if you do it right, you build it in a way to where the business doesn't need you every day. But you can't do that unless you build a business that you can afford to hire top talent that will, that says things. And again, I don't have it all figured out, but I can tell you I have several people on my team that often say, I'm trying to do everything I can to not pull you into this, or not, they basically are trying to protect me because they know that that's what I ultimately want. And that's why I hired them, quite frankly. And so if you hire bad talent or you don't hire at all, then you have to do everything, right? If you look at that org chart, your name is on every seat, and the goal is to pull yourself out of as many seats as possible. Most likely, it depends on your goal, but some people love working in the business. Some people want to be their main salesperson, and if that's you, then that's fine. But just know that if you leave town or you get sick or something happens, the sales for your business, which is the fuel that feeds everything, will suffer.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question from Jay Stoney. What are the typical terms you and your team are using for owner financing your properties?
Yeah, so the terms are, I don't sell to investors because I want to be the bank for 30 years. We offer, our rates are 9.99%, which don't sound so bad these days, right? There was a time where you could get a traditional mortgage for 5% and or less, obviously, and 9.99 sounded high, but that is our typical terms. I won't, I know people that charge more. I don't know many people that charge less because you kind of need a high interest rate. And we're typically selling to people that have a, honestly, there's I don't remember what the percentage is. I'm going to be wrong on this, but something like 40% of the mortgages done a year in America are kind of non-QM, non-qualified. So they're people that aren't qualified for a traditional mortgage. It could be that they have bad credit. More commonly, it's they just don't have established credit, and they just tend to work more with cash and stuff like that. Not that we accept cash as a payment, but yeah, there's a lot of entrepreneurs don't have great credit because of their business, or it's not been established long enough. And so that, in a nutshell, that's kind of 30-year fixed rate mortgages at 9.99 is kind of our model.
That's a nice stream of mostly passive income being able to come in, right?
Yeah.
What percentage of your portfolio would you say is held in owner financing?
So not much, but right now I've had some notes for years, but not a ton, like 6 or 8. And then we've just made the decision, literally our first few rentals as they turn over, instead of us fixing them up and renting them out again, we're starting to owner finance them off. So we're kind of letting it happen naturally. So in fact, one of the ones that happened naturally has had a tenant in it for 10 years, which is not typical, but you need some of those to offset the ones that you just rehabbed a year ago and somebody's moving out again already. But yeah, so not much right now, but over the next, 3 to 5 years. So hopefully it'll be everything.
Yeah. I mean, I know that this depends on the person. Obviously it depends on the market, but in general, do you have kind of a metric for what a sweet spot is for, percentage of your business that is focused on cash flow, wholesaling or flipping land versus your portfolio and kind of equity builders?
I think that is a very individual answer. Like, it depends on that person, right? And for us, like my wife and I, she turns 51 here in a couple weeks, and I turned 51 in July. It's just a point in our lives when we're at a point where my son's 18. We only have one. We went through all this legacy planning stuff and putting our stuff into trusts and kind of planning like what happens if we get hit by a bus, So we kind of just went through all of this stuff late last year, still going through it. It's like, what do we want the rest of our lives to look like? And I have several businesses. And so we have this conscious effort of trying to, we know about how much we make a year from all of our different businesses. And we're trying to make this conscious shift that more of our income percentage wise is moving towards passive income, because we don't want to work forever. And so a lot of our income right now is active just from the businesses I have, and we have passive income too, but we're trying to shift it to be, ultimately 100% passive. And so that's kind of where we're at. So I've always kind of said, I'll never sell my rentals until I realize, well, they don't cash flow very well. we've paid off most of our debt over the years. So we have very little debt in our rental portfolio, but they still don't cash flow really well. And you have all this trapped equity. And like, my goal is not to like hang on to these things that don't cash flow very well, only to like give them to my son if something happens to us. And, you know, his net worth would go up instantly, which he's 18. He doesn't need that certainly today or ever. Our goal is not for
You probably disagree, but yes.
Yeah. Our goal is not for our son to hit the lottery when we die. Right. But it would also be a massive like problem for him. Like, he doesn't know what that stuff is. Right. And so our goal is to like enjoy them. We're the ones that worked hard for this. And so my son's going to be fine, by the way. Our goal is to enjoy as much of it as we can while we're alive. And I don't plan to go anywhere anytime soon, but we're like, well, why not just become the bank now to where they cash flow way more now? So we're trying to do a lot of our investments that we're trying to do are, you know, in more passive things. I'd rather be a partner or buy into a business and help consult a little bit and generate cash flow from that than go start another business by myself. So just trying to lean into more passive things, but that's more of where we are in our lives, given all of our other businesses too.
Cool. And we got a question for you, Maja. What aspects of your career do you enjoy the most currently?
So yeah, that was an unexpected question, but it's really nice, I guess, to see someone interested in that. Honestly, here mostly I like wearing many hats, so I like that I get to be involved in things like this, webinars, podcasts, and get to see, you know, hear people's stories and how they got from, you know, here from where they are. And then another thing is that I genuinely like that we're not, you know, a black and white customer service team, that we genuinely enjoy, you know, listening to users and talking to them and hearing about their stories. And I had users where I was invited to their wedding, you know, to their daughter's wedding, and I heard about their dogs and things like that. So I genuinely enjoy, you know, getting to build that relationship. And I like that we have the freedom to do so. You know, it's not so much like, here's 1, 2, 3, and you have to follow this step, and there's ABC, and you have to do that. We have a lot of freedom to build our personalities. Even before I was a team lead, you know, we build our personalities, and when we work with users based on those personalities, and we really try to resonate with people, because we're people too, they're people, and we truly are understanding of that. And that's the main purpose of building that relationship. And that's what I truly enjoy, is that we have the freedom to do that, and that we, you know, we're encouraged to explore, and we're encouraged to learn, and we're encouraged to get out there and speak to people. And it's more quality over quantity. And I truly, truly, truly enjoy that freedom, and also just getting to wear many hats where I get to learn as well and grow. So that's a great question. Thank you. Thank you.
I love that. Mike, I'm sure you've been invited to a couple weddings too.
Yeah, a couple. Most of my friends are past that stage, but you never know.
I've been invited to dinners as well.
Yeah.
Me, I just crash. So unless Mia has a +1, I'm not going. All right. Well, Mike, I really appreciate your time. I don't want to hold you up any longer. Like I said, for everyone here, like whether you're watching now or you're watching this on the replay, get any additional questions into the comments section below. We'll let Mike know if it's addressed to him individually. And then you've got all those links in the show notes below or in the slides here to connect with Mike and his team on various levels. So, you know, read the book, attend the virtual event next week, join the masterminds. I couldn't recommend them anymore, all potential facets. So please do that.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, thanks, y'all. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.